It's your boy, MC Radio Rental. We're doing some more live improvised rap, freestyling off the top of my head. And this time, we're using random Wikipedia articles to inspire the rhymes. I'm gonna click random article, and whatever Wikipedia article comes up, I'm gonna do my best to do a live improvised rap about the topic of that article. Let's try it. Random article. It's Shock 22. If you try and get caught, you're in a lock and glue. You're caught in a trap like a hand on a bat, and if you eat the bait, you're gonna get fat. The schlock was a trailerable sailor-boat, and you could escape the float when you're in this boat. I like the flotation and regaling tales of the ages. 1960 was the age in which it was made, so I will not betray it. This boat will not sink, I will not slay it, cause the Shock Corp created it in the 80s or 60s, and that was when it existed. It's a keel boat, and it's near the feel flow. Made of fiberglass, so it's not slow. A fractional sloop. It's covered in gloop, and it is spooned by a nearly plumb stem. Can you believe it? The centerboard extracted, and it's nearer. Carry it on the trailer wherever you are feeling you wanna sail. It will never be derailed, cause this fiberglass boat will take you to where you wanna go. Alright, we'll do a different article. It's Zatawi, a Polish place in the hearty land of Poland. It'll never go slower in Poznan, cause I feel the hand of God. It's west central Poland, and I'll never rap slower. It's in the county of Slupka. Did I pronounce it right? Alright, different article. We're talking about a shock. Kuma Pinchar. What a great guy. He was in the Janata party, and he's gathering an army, because if he was in economics, no, he would be farming in the Rajasthan Legislative Assembly. You know that his governance is never ending, representing Sardashashar constituency. I'm not gonna try to rhyme with that. Alright, new random article. UIC Sky Space. That's what we're rapping about. What's a sky space? A sky space is a design with one room in a neutral hue, so you can see right through, because the ceiling is so near, open to the sky, so you can believe and see it right with your eye. And the LED lights around the whole to change the way that you feel the sky through your scope. It's created by the artist James Turrell, or Turrell, I don't know how to spell, damn hell. But in 2013 there was over 85, and that was how people were looking at the sky. So now that we know what a sky space is, we'll go back to the UIC. Right, haste. Okay, that was a rough start, but we're gonna continue rapping about random Wikipedia pages. Alright, we're gonna click random article. We're gonna rap about Net Mendoza. He's not far away, he's closer. And you know, at work he's always a closer. He was commander of Order of Santiago. And I like the start flow, but we're gonna keep going so you don't know which way we're gonna flow. Cause he lived in Spain, and you could feel the pain every time the rain was coming down in hail. If you were fast or if you were slow like a snail, he would never derail this particular train, because he obtained a license from the monarchs, not the butterflies but the Catholic guys. And those priests were so hasty to get to the Indies, so they sailed a fleet. So he took many caravels over to the place in the Indies where he was meant to go. He only chartered two, cause he was harder than what you went through. He was meant to head north to America, so he was expecting you, but that didn't actually happen, because they passed another place, and the place was Cape of St. Augustine. And you know that he could feel the heat, because on this fleet he started to bleed. And you know that the boat, it started to leak. He couldn't believe the place he was in. He didn't know if he would escape it in the end, but he had to get to the Portuguese jurisdiction. Otherwise the sea would inflict this sinking that he was trying to avoid, because this boat, it just wasn't properly buoyed. He had to escape, otherwise he would go to the bottom of the void. So we returned to Spain with a slightly deranged brain. He brought some Brazilian slaves. Oh no, that's not great. But he got to the latitude of Good Hope, and he didn't sail fast, he sailed slow. He earned capitulation. He was deranged and he was strange in his brain, but he settled in Hispaniola with settlers for a new population in this strange nation. He was regaling tales of his... He started the fleet of the other ships, and he arrived with some more other shit. And the new governor was gonna put everyone under his rule, including Pizarro. Goddamn Pizarro, his name was Alonso. All these guys hanging in the Indies. Can you believe the shit? It's gonna... Wow. He was born in Spain, and he had no claim to wealth. He came from a poor family, so he could not stand in hate. He was cold, and he wanted some gold, so he pursued fortune in the new world. And his ambition unfurled, and he wanted to capture the whole world. Okay, this is difficult. To the shock of everybody, it's difficult. But we'll keep trying. New random article. Davenant, a strange man. He was an academic, and he was not a cleric, and he was not a medic. He was academic. That was his merit, and so he wanted to be a delegate. He wanted to arrive at Dort like Mindy or Mork. He was not Mort, he was not dead. He was fucked in the head because he was well fed. He was educated at Cambridge. It was strangely, there was daylit. And so he was its president. It was evident that he was well met, and so he served as professor of divinity. It was meant to be, theologically speaking. He believed in Jesus, so you could see his grievance. So he was called away by James I, the King James. Could you believe the hurt that he must have felt when he was taken away from his place, and he was put in Dort in 1618 was the year when he arrived with Ward Hall and Carlton. I'm sure Carlton was pretty charming, but you could never stand at the door of his whatever. His views were strange and divided. He believed that he died for the elect, and those men had a different opinion about Christ, so that's why he was not liked. He tried to make a compromise, a middle road between Arminianism and fucking hell, what is that? Supralapsarianism is the view that God's decrees of election and reprobation logically preceded the decree of the fall, while infralapsarianism succeeded the decree of the fall. This is too much for me right now, so a new random article. Alright, new random article. Makana. Alright. Makana is a company that's farming. It's the darling of the Internet of Things, and that's why they're flying, and they're trying to network everything together in any weather. It's like a feather that falls at the same velocity as a piece of meat, because logically everything is relative in the digital world, so you can just unfurl your brain and everything will be connected, and the connectivity is never ending. It's shifted its focus to protecting devices and the apps and data, because your data might come to harm if you don't face the charms, if you don't protect it. It could all crack and it could be rejected. Everything that ever meant anything to you, you could lose it, so you better choose to secure it with these dudes. Makana are the experts that never charm you, they never harm you. They're like the balm for your arm when you get stung or you get hacked. You need this, man, so you better get Makana. It's like Makana, or like a farmer. The New York Times said that they could, with unsettling ease, make a TV in HD, internet ready, so you better believe it's getting heavy. They highlighted that criminals could intercept the information, they could sell it, and they're regaling tales. They're gonna break it, they're gonna take it, so you better retain it, you better train it with the security that you need in RFID, so that your goals could be achieved in the University of Massachusetts. If you don't keep it, you're gonna lose it. They got an Android app and iOS, so they don't spy on heads. They gotta get the security they need to achieve it. $47 million, you better believe it. Makana got Blue Cedar networks. I'm good. Alright. We're gonna get a different random article and try again. Random article is smoking, and you'd better not be overdosing, because you need to start it but slow it, otherwise too much smoke in your nose might be bad for you, bad for your health. But truly it is spiritual wealth, because in spiritual culture you'd use smoke so that the divinity was known, because in the welcome to country you know that the smoke will be thundering, and sometimes it can have antimicrobial effects, so it's slowing the encroach of death. It's like the rise of the Geth. It's like what's good for your health, it's spiritual wealth, and that's why the smoking ceremony was used. It's a pit in the ground or a bucket for the wreaths of smoke. You never know which way they may flow when it's in the air, but you know that it's gonna go there, it's gonna rise, it's gonna find the light in the sky. That's why it rises, because the heat is gonna expand, because the carbon dioxide that rises from the timber gets up and in you. Different random article to rap about. We're gonna talk about Arahiwi. Arahiwi, can you believe Arahiwi? It's in New Zealand, so you know it's Kiwi. Arahiwi is Kiwi, better believe it. It's kinda cheesy, and it's slowly leaching into the ground because it was a railway line and then it failed, so it's not that nice. It's gone down and you can't ride it. It got derailed and you can't find it. Arahiwi had a population of 150 in 2018. Should I rap this in a Kiwi accent? Nah, that would cause havoc. I'm not gonna do that. The median age was 31.1, and that's pretty young. It's pretty fun, but some were under 15 years. So they were not well heeled. Ethnicities were 80% European, 25 Maori, 3% Pacific. Those numbers are pretty specific, but I guess that's the nature of statistics. Some said that they weren't religious, but I guess there had been some missions, because 30% were Christian, and that might cause division, while the other 2% believed in Maori and the 2% were non-specific. And if I'm eliciting a little religion, I might be more specific in my invective. I'm gonna get another random article. This is hard, but I'm gonna rap about Josepina. No, I'm just gonna mispronounce that, so I'm gonna rap about the Archdeacon of Hackney. He's not lacking in faith because he held the Holy Grail in London, eh? Oh my god, this is hard. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna rap about a random Wikipedia article. Acasticogoblemelia is a moth, and so it's held aloft by its wings, and you don't need to fear the sting, because moths don't sting, they don't have the barbs. Moths don't bite you very hard. Moths aren't very dangerous, it's crazy, they're pretty lazy, they just like the light. Another random article, it's pretty hard, but I'm gonna talk about the Hong Kong Open. It's like squash, but it's exploding, because the best are here and they're overloading. They're the chosen, they're the best at it, so they're gonna squash the ball with the racket. They're causing havoc, it's automatic. And if they better pack it, because they bring what they need at the Squash King, at the Cathay Pacific in Hung Kai Ying. They're in Hong Kong, and you know that they're gonna play strong, because this guy, Nick Matthew, he hit it with a racket and it went through. So we, alright, we're gonna do a different random article. So we scroll to the top, but we're gonna click the article. It's not gonna take long. That was pretty hard. Alright, we'll talk about George Brown. He came from a town. He was in Ireland all around. And you know that he was found because he was up in the common house in Ireland. His words were inspiring because you know he was firing on every cylinder till 82. Can you believe that dude? He was in charge of County Mayo. And it's kind of strange though, because can you believe that with James Cuff he could feel the love? Another random article. I should actually get alright, this is what I should do. I'll get several random articles all at once. The marine steam engine is sending energy all across with steam, so you better believe the nature of the heat, because they burn the coal and then they'd unfold and they'd move wherever they want to go. They wouldn't go fast, they wouldn't go slow, they'd go wherever speed is required. The velocity that you could believe was powered by steam so they could achieve dreams. And sometimes they were marine and sometimes the diesel. It couldn't be easier. And Thomas Newcomen knew how the engines exploded. He was an engineer, so he would never fear. And he would drink beer, and James Watt got through the fog, and he would never get lost because he was the boss of this company, and that is how he was expelling heat. Oh, this is so hard. My god. Alright. Alright. Part of why it's difficult is because it's so many different languages that the names are in. Alright. Alright. The Zambia Cricket Union. Cricket was what they were choosing. They were trying to win, not lose it. But apparently the rules were abused because the ICC suspended me. They couldn't believe because they were breaking heat. They failed to amend their breach. And so they had to go to sleep. Zambia cricket team, they got rickets, and when they tried to turn up, they only heard crickets because the ICC suspended me, and now I can never sleep because I'm in charge of the union, and I'm losing the cricket union that I was disabused of my views, and that's why I got kicked out. Yo, Brian Thomas Costello, a strange fellow. And you know that he would bellow, cause he's a politician, and you know he'd shout. You know politics is what he's about. He was in Georgia, sweet Georgia. He was like the lord of the whole damn culture, because he went to Mercer, that was his university. He's swerving and he was admitted to the state bar. He was a lawyer, and you know that he rhymes hard. He was a lawyer in 898, and he could feel the pain until his last day. In the state troops, he would fight, he'd never lose, and he moved to Georgia to be a referee, but not the nice kind of bankruptcy. Alright, I think we will try a different beat and a different random article. Joseph, Leo, Seko, Abby. You know that this guy would come in handy if you have questions about money, cause he was an economist in Ghana. And you know we'd charm you, you know we'd farmer, you know he had a pretty well-stocked larder, because this guy was an economist and he had the knowledge for getting everything for which he foraged. He was ambassadorial, and that's the story. He was well dressed cause he was sartorial, and he was never boring cause this ambassador could charm the pants off you, and that's how he dropped the knowledge. He'd suck a lozenge. And you know that he would eat his porridge because he was born in 1940, and well, that's a pretty likely story. He was born on the Gold Coast, and that's kind of funny because he's an economist and he knows money, and he comes from the Gold Coast. Maybe that's how he learned about the value of currency and money. It's kind of funny and it's kind of crazy, and he came from a school called Mfantasipim. And you know that he would just slip into any situation that he requires. And if he was a rapper, you know we'd find the rhymes, cause at the London school he was thundering too, because he learned everything he had to knew. He had to know, cause you know his flow would go wherever he required in the boat. He got his degree and he felt some glee. Then he went to the Bureau of Statistics, and you know he was inflicting the numbers, the data, you know that the charmer. Any datum that you require, he'd find it and he would bring it to the university in Ghana. And he was not a llama. Well, it doesn't say that he's a llama, but he was appointed to the military council government to look for the plundering they needed, because he was an economist and a statistician. And you know that was his mission. And after Gardiner left, he became the minister. And he finished it in 1979. No involvement at that time. Otherwise, he was in the budget and he had a lust for numbers, an economist. The budget was unrealistic and he had to be divisive about the state of the budget, because he just couldn't add up those numbers. There was 100 and then there was 505. That's real math time. But he went to the bank and he was a consultant, and you know it was the UN he was under. Consultant, he'd take it and fold it, he'd take up the ball and you know that he would bowl it. You know he carried so much weight upon his shoulders, and you know origami, he would fold it. At the committee he was never shitty. He served in this grand capacity from 1982 to 83. He was catching heat, but you better believe it. And then Ghana was declared a worst case situation by the World Bank. Alright, I think that was probably the best one. Alright, let's do another random article. You know Leslie Thomas. You know she had the knowledge. And you know she ate a porridge because she was a barrister, and she would carry all of those beats, everything you believe, because she was in law. And you know that she had the knowledge. You know that she had the sheets. The rap sheets is what they called the crime, you see. Death in custody was what she was concerned with, so she must have been a pretty crazy individual to get into the London School of Comprehension. She elected to retake his A-level examinations. Oh, this is a male. I thought Leslie was female, but that name can swing both ways. Leslie's male. That's the tale. But then he represented families who lost people in Hillsborough. What happened in Hillsborough? Something bad. And it's not right, man, but I'm gonna find what happened next. The family of Mark Duggan, more than 100. One more random article. It's about Taurus Carmoy. Alright. I feel like this is shit. We're gonna reset. We might unlist this one. Thank you for listening. We're gonna reset.